of the event. So it's at our church, but we don't sell the tickets, and so we can't give them to you the day of the event. So please, please, please go online and get those tickets. This week we will begin letting the rest of the Omaha community know that she's coming, and she has a very big following. So I am sure that we will sell out, or they will sell out, but it may not be all of us. So you get the first information about this. So go online and fill the information out. We want to welcome our guests, and Chris is our moderator, as you know from the last two, so we'll turn it over to Chris.
And I was thinking, if Cabrini had sections, you guys would be in the candy section, because you're so sweet.
Aww.
How was that? Took me a week to write that. and Bill,
the writer.
and Bill, we had a man with hair, but there hasn't been any men with hair so far. So
No.
we replaced. You took his place.
Common theme for the men. I like it. Yeah.
It is. Thank you for joining us. Well, this will be a wonderful
Thanks for asking.
conversation. Thoughts? The book is crazy.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't believe how much her life mirrors Christ's life. And in the fact that there's times when nobody sees her, doesn't recognize her, like Christ when he rose from the dead, and he's with his disciples, and they're looking at him and they're going, yeah, who's this guy walking along the road with us?
Right.
Here she is walking among that group, and praying so hard that they would not notice that she is in the middle with her group of friends at this point. This section, the new path, we're on the
Third section.
third section,
Right.
and it just reminded me of when they didn't recognize Christ, and she was praying, please don't let them recognize us, please, please. And it just reminded me of that time when Christ is walking with his disciples and they don't recognize him. And there were so many other things that mirrored like Christ's life in here, where she is doing things or saying things that just reminded me of, oh my gosh, she is so holy. And,
Yeah.
The power of her prayer.
Her prayer.
Oh, it is.
It's
It's amazing. It is. I'm like, the whole time you're happy, and then you're like, oh no, it's sad again, and it's happy, and then it's sad. It is a roller coaster, but this was my favorite chapter, of course, because she's saved.
She makes it.
Yeah, she makes it.
Yeah.
But this was my favorite chapter.
Yeah. One part that was just so heartbreaking, and I keep thinking about it, was the first chapter where she finds out that her whole family has died. I mean, think about when you hear about one person dying and how it just kind of hits you so hard. But then to hear, oh, both of my parents and my baby
Yeah.
brother and my favorite
I thought that
brother,
too.
it was just,
You think how devastating one death is.
yeah.
Your whole family's gone.
Yeah.
And the details about the death of her brother. Oh my God.
And you were right. Last week we said it happened.
It was in that
It was
section,
it
but
was
it's in the
yeah. She'd heard that out the window though.
Right.
The guy said that.
That he had killed, that
Yeah.
he had chopped his.
Yeah, I wasn't
head off.
sure. Remember, she said she couldn't think of anybody else that had a master's. It had to be her
Right,
brother,
yeah.
but I don't know outside the window if that's when that was happening or if it was somewhere else.
So then she
but he
gets the
describes it in
details.
here, the details.
Yeah.
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 Oh, he says, yeah, I'm going to see a master's.
You know, in the
Yeah.
chapter 16 or 17, the first chapter in part 3, one of the things that really touched me was where she talks about laying on the ground and feeling the rocks digging in her back and the dirt and the leaves and scratching her cheek, and it would be miserable, but to her it was like, wow,
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
wow,
This
and
is
looking up at
amazing.
the stars.
Yeah, when she came out, the first thing she said was, praise God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pastor's trying to hurry
Yeah,
them.
hurry her up.
And then
Go,
she's
go,
like,
go.
no, I mean, this is the first time we've been outside.
This is sorry.
Yeah.
You talk about how many people were killed in this genocide. That would be, in 1994, that would be the whole city of Omaha.
Right.
And surrounding
And
area.
more.
600 to 800,000 people. That would be our entire city and the surrounding areas. That's, people don't conceptualize when they're talking about 600 to 800,000 are killed, and you think, oh my gosh, that is the whole city in our surrounding areas
Yeah.
are gone, and brutally gone.
Right,
Yeah.
hacked,
Yeah.
most of them by machete.
Right.
And then seeing those stacks of bodies when they're at the camp, and think, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just non-human. I mean, really.
She's 22.
Yeah.
22 years old, and she's able to be so close to God and have such strong faith.
And that's her parents.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
But all of us at 22 remember, well.
Oh, yeah,
right,
I remember.
Okay, you reached 20. Okay.
I remember.
Lucy, have you reached 22? Hang on a second. Lucy?
And
Lucy?
Chris, you probably can't remember back that far.
22. Having to have that kind of faith. You're right. That instilled by her parents is incredible.
The one part about her, when she heard about her father dying and how he had gone to the agency or the government to find food for everyone that was staying. I mean, gosh, that just kind of speaks about the character that they instilled in her, about, and
She says
even said,
how much, she goes, oh, Dad, I love you so much and you were doing so much good, but you are so
Yes,
stupid.
yes.
Why are you doing Remember, that's what she said. She
Yeah.
came back with that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then in the next chapter, his letter, Thomas's letter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what courage he had.
Yeah. I mean, that line, I'm prepared to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You know.
praying for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Father, you said that last week. Torturing is different than just, okay, it's over.
Right.
This is torture for these
Yeah, he
deaths,
was
and he is
beaten
prepared
up
for
and
that.
drugged through the streets, and
Yeah. Naked.
yeah,
Yeah.
And he never gave up her where she was at. Not that he knew, but
Right.
remember they said, where is Immaculate? And he says, I wouldn't tell you even if I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he said that she's smarter than all of you together,
Yeah.
which didn't
That
go
probably
well.
didn't bode well with all those
No,
guys.
they didn't.
No, that probably didn't make him very happy.
Yeah, I know that probably.
This is where we're going to not give you a break.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
something that I thought too kind of touched me was, and I think it was probably kind of almost a physical thing for her, were the tear stains on the letter from him.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like something.
Right.
You did have something from him. You know, you didn't. There's something there, even though it's
Yeah.
tears.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
And it was his tears.
Well, even her brother, when he was being tortured, he said, "I pray you ask for God's forgiveness." You know, when he was being tortured by these guys, I pray that you ask for God's forgiveness.
Well, and you know that what the other weird thing about Damascene's thing is, that was family friends. I mean, he was staying
Yes.
with a friend.
Right,
So
right.
he just couldn't get away from it. You know, that would makes it even more miraculous of her survival, of anybody's survival, really.
Well, yeah, that the one boy that he knew, that Samahi, S-E-M-A-H-E, Samahi even said, after that, he said, "I will never kill again." You know,
Right. Wept for
he said, "I
days.
shall never kill
Yeah.
again. It was a sin to kill this boy," and you kind of go, "Oh my God," you know. And that reminded me of, again, Christ on the cross, and then the guards saying, "Truly, He is the Son of God." You know, and that I just keep seeing different areas of this book where it's just a reflection of Christ's life and her strength in that.
Absolutely.
And what's always amazing too is how someone always knows her. You know,
Right, wherever
you know, it's like, how did she?
And you know that
Yeah.
was because her family was so welcoming, and
Exactly.
everybody was
Everyone
at their
knew her.
house and came
Yeah.
over to eat, and
Yeah. I mean, she'd be there on the grounds and they go, "Oh, Immaculate." like,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, when
Someone
she's got a
else.
gun in her face.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They rec-
And he goes,
yeah.
Because you're hoping these soldiers are going to welcome you.
I know.
And then, no, they're
I know,
thinking
God
you're
always-
spies, you're
Right.
Hutu
Yeah.
spies, and we have
Guy
guns
walks,
on you.
guy walks up and says, "Wait, Immaculate."
Immaculate.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She is a Tutsi. And they're going, "Oh my gosh."
Well, God always answered her prayers. I
Yeah.
mean, He just did.
yeah,
Yeah, and she. It's so sad with Pierre, because Pierre falls for her, you know, in this camp, and it's so sad because he wants to protect her, he wants to love her, and she says, "Oh, my heart is set on loving God right now, and in also trying to love myself, I don't have room for a relationship right now in my life. And what a crushing blow to him. But at the
Right.
same time, you can understand what she was going through, that, man, there's just no time for this right now.
Yeah.
Especially at 22, to have
Yeah.
that maturity to say, oh, I don't have time for boys right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you know, she could have looked at that as a way out and just said yes to,
Yeah.
you know.
No, you
Escape
actually could
everything.
have.
Yeah. And then they introduced us to Aloise.
Oh,
What a character.
And you know what? I think
character.
she's almost as inspired, not as inspiring as Mackie, but
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but her
Yes.
suffering was
Yeah.
she's
Horrible.
she's in Rwanda. She's a Tutsi woman. She's in a wheelchair in a genocide.
Yep.
Can it get any worse? That sounds like the start of a really bad joke.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And she is happy and laughing, and
They hear her laughter throughout
Yeah.
the
And
camp.
they knew.
I mean,
Yeah,
like-
everyone
It was
knew her.
her.
Yeah.
she is
And she
so
lost
filled
her
with the Holy
child,
Spirit.
too.
It's
She
a wonder
lost
it's
her
not
infant
squirting out of
child.
her ears. I mean, she
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
She's just so filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And she was really she really inspired me a lot.
She even said your mother was a saint, because remember what happened to her. I mean, she was struggling with paying for school and all that, and,
Her mother
and her
paid for
mom
her mom.
covered it, you know, took care of her. She says, I'm here today because of your mother,
Right.
you know. Again,
And that's
wow.
why she said, I'm going to be your mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She says, you're going to be my
And you know, we
daughter."
talked last week or one of the weeks about the relationship with the ladies in the restroom, in the bathroom that she was in with them. You know, we talked about that, and they kind of explained it here. But she said, you know, they really didn't get to know each other.
Right.
They
You
were
couldn't
doing hand
talk.
signals,
No.
and
Yeah.
you know, they couldn't visit like we're visiting, or you know, talk about your family, or so they really weren't. As hard as that is to believe,
They were practically strangers.
you know,
when
they
saw
couldn't
each
even
other.
talk to each other.
it's like being on a silent retreat together for 91 days
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
bathroom.
Laying on top of each other
Yes.
with scraps for food.
Yeah.
Now, why didn't you visit? You know, no, you couldn't visit. I
It
mean,
was
just-
interesting, the scraps of food comment. It was interesting when they showed up to the camp and realized, oh, we were so lucky compared to everyone else who was just hiding in the forest and surviving off leaves. And you think, well, gosh, they were in a tiny bathroom and they had nothing to eat, and they were considering themselves fortunate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, just kind of puts
Yeah.
things in
Well, and she says it brought back painful memories when they saw each other.
Yeah.
You know, it made you think of what they had been through.
You know what always surprised me is that no one ever figured out where that window went to. You know,
On the outside of that.
On the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was a miracle that no one ever was like, well, wait, where does that window go to?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they were really trying
Right.
to find.
Yeah. Well, you brought it up last time when the kid was trying to clean. He said,
Yeah.
I usually clean that bathroom. That bathroom.
Yeah, yeah,
Dressers are
yeah.
another room.
I know there's a bathroom there somewhere. You didn't tear it out. And you know, too, one of the things that kind of struck me was, you know, Aloise was paying back, and she said, "I'm doing it not for you; it's for your mother." So you know, that kind of goes to show you that I think that being kind carries on. You know, it's kind of like buying somebody donuts in the back of the donut line. You know, it does carry on. And Eloise was a perfect example of that. And I thought it was cool that she said, "It's not for you.
Right.
It's for Rose."
Yeah, made a difference.
Any questions there?
How about that
Comment?
truck ride with the French soldiers? And they said, okay,
Get out.
well, we're hearing gunfire, so we're going to let you guys out of the truck.
Yeah, they're
I was like, whoa, wait, you're almost there.
I know.
You're almost to that Rwanda patriotic, what are they?
The RPFs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
RPF. Yeah, that patriotic front group. They're almost there, and then they said, well, we're going to let you out here.
Yeah, that's my orders. I would have went, tough.
Well, wait a minute.
crap
There's
on the
like
orders.
there's a group of like 30 of these guys surrounding them that want to kill him, you know.
Right.
And I'm thinking, this is not going to turn out good.
No,
This- they're going to
no.
lose a
They
couple
made
of
it
their
all this
group.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
made it
now
all
they're
this
going to
way.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's let them out.
And then they decided to split up. You know, hey, a couple of us are going to walk forward, and you guys stay here with Aloise. And all of a sudden, no one was
Yeah.
following them.
Well, she's
anymore.
praying that rosary
Yeah,
so hard.
it's-
Remember, she said she had that
Yes. It
rosary.
was the
and she
miracle
says,
of that rosary.
I'm praying that rosary, and as she's walking, she said, the killers are good people, but right now evil has a hold of their hearts.
Yeah.
I mean, she still saw the good in these people, even though they were so evil. Right?
Yeah.
She said, no, there's still good, but
Which is so hard to do, especially when we are being hurt, to find some goodness in the people who are hurting you. You think, oh my gosh, that's truly a grace from God to
It
be
is.
able to see
No.
goodness in the midst of that evil.
just her constant theme of forgiveness. She's constantly thinking about forgiving, and wow, I can't, even though
Well,
all
I
this
have done
horror
here
stuff's
too.
going.
Yeah, she always asks God to heal others' hearts.
I think it's funny too how many times God answered her prayers in a different way. You know, blinding the shooters,
Right.
giving her a job. You know, He was always there for her, like He is for all of us. You know, but His presence was always in everything she did. You know, it wasn't just one thing or, ooh, maybe that's, it was. He was truly, truly, truly with her.
Right.
And the forgiveness is, you can't even talk about it really. It's just beyond belief.
And she didn't panic. She was so level-headed all the time, and kind of like self-sufficient. I mean,
Well,
she
she's a
was-
leader.
Yeah.
They always,
Again,
everyone looked to her.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah.
Well, and that saved her a lot of times
Yeah.
was because the fear inside or the anxiety or those things that would have betrayed her and gotten her killed, she was always able to squelch that and to think, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's
I'd
amazing.
be running away and getting shot or stabbed or
Definitely would. And I definitely wouldn't have spent 3 months in a bathroom with,
No.
no.
Was this when she was talking about the Valley of Death walk? Is that
That was
even though I'm walking through the
Yeah.
valley?
I think
She said,
so.
if they kill me, God, I ask you to forgive them. Their hearts have been corrupted by hatred. That's on page 173. Their hearts have been corrupted by hatred, and they don't know why they want to hurt me. And that kind of was like when Christ was on the cross, and
Yeah, forgive them.
He's forgiving them for they know not what they're doing.
Yeah.
I just keep seeing that resemblance to Christ's life and in what she did and what she was able to accomplish. Oh, amazing. Is that in there, Sharon? Is it 173?
yeah, and at the bottom of that
Valley
page
of-
too, I got a big kick out of that. It's after they walked and John Paul said, hey, they're gone. And she looked around and said, the killers had left us. And he said later it was probably because they knew the RPF soldiers were close by, but she said, I knew the real reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never stopped crying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew the real reason.
Yeah. I thought it was so. She just never really stopped trusting, throughout the whole process, or throughout her whole time. But at the end of this chapter, she'd pretty much just escaped. She finally made it to safety, and then pretty much just said right away, "Okay, time to get a job." Like, how many of us, after going through something so traumatic, just
I need a
step up right
vacation.
away?
She goes, now I need to get a job.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I need to put on some weight.
Yeah, and they didn't recognize you because you were so thin.
No, I know.
She
Yeah.
says, she was like a 12-year-old child, she says, with her clothing
Yeah.
hanging on her.
Yeah. And I thought it was really symbolic too when she went back for that what little she had, and she just decided to leave it.
At the dormitory.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was just like, you know what?
Except that her papers were there.
No, that was when she went. Not
To her
that.
house.
Not when she went.
Oh,
to
when
the
she was
dormitory.
okay, when she went to her
Yeah,
university.
'cause
Okay.
and it was kind of like.
But there was
I'm done.
$30 there. She took the 30
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
bought a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's when they finally gave her the job. When she
Right,
finally
she looked like,
more
oh.
presentable. Yes.
Then she walked in the next day and didn't recognize her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Yes.
Cleaned up.
And then what
Got
chapter was it?
deodorant.
When she was having a little bit of difficulty on chapter 22, maybe I'm getting too far ahead,
Yeah, I think so.
where she talked about she actually longed for the days in the bathroom so she could be alone,
Yeah.
To pray.
meditate,
Pray,
and
yeah.
pray without interruption.
Right.
Yeah, in chapter 22, he.
Sorry, did I go too far ahead there?
Well, are we in 22?
It's
So when she compared her fishing for a job to Peter's discouragement for not being able to catch fish, that was,
Yeah.
I like that.
the analogy with St. Peter. Yeah.
But her persistence, her willingness to come back again and again and again and again, I think, I don't deal with rejection that well.
No,
I think
either.
somebody says, sorry, we're not hiring. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would not
She kept.
go back.
Every
There
single
are no
day.
jobs here.
Well, and she just got everything going against her, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, someone's just like, "Okay, show up
Shows
tomorrow. We'll
up.
give you a job."
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
running down the steps crying.
Yeah.
And runs into
And
the
runs
director.
into Pierre Mihu.
Yes.
Was that the director or was that her professor too at college? Oh,
No,
that
it
was,
was-
the other,
he
yeah.
That was
was-
the head of the communications
Yeah.
or something.
Oh,
Right.
Dr.
Yeah.
Abel's the one who just drove up by the car.
Right.
Oh, I'm actually, there's another
I'm like,
person.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like you said, Chris, she's praying for things, but other things are happening. You know, the old, when you pray, coincidences happen.
There's
When
a
you
line
don't-
in there about that, yeah.
When you pray,
somewhere.
coincidences happen. When you don't pray, coincidences don't happen.
Right, right.
And she certainly had a lot of things happening.
Yep.
Maybe not asking for that particular prayer, but it came into her life. It worked out. You just kind of go, this is incredible.
Right.
She says, I was living proof of the power of prayer and positive thinking, which really are almost the same thing. God is the source of all positive energy. And prayer is the best way to tap into his power.
Yeah,
That's a heck of a paragraph.
that is.
But it all comes back to, really, forgiveness. If she doesn't forgive,
That she's not
I
free.
don't think any of this happens.
Right.
And that's her goal here. Then she says, she says she realizes that the war will not be over until the cycle of hatred is broken. And if people can't forgive, that hatred's always going to be there, and it's just going to fester and it's going to continue. So the forgiveness, Chris, like you said, that is huge.
the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. I think the part about when she goes back to her home to
Oh,
bury,
To
like,
bury
give
her
her family
mother.
Oh, yeah,
proper
wow.
burial.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
And, I think she almost has, I've read about survivor's guilt, where you've survived something like that and you almost,
right. Why am I alive?
yeah, yeah. There's kind of a sadness almost that she's, one of the ones that survived,
Right.
the only one that survived in her family besides her brother, who wasn't in the country. So
Yeah.
incredible.
But then I know it's jumping way ahead to the epilogue. But then to go back to that house later and have it reconstructed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Right.
And for everybody to come to it.
Yep. Turn it into a place of prayer.
For her.
Right.
Yep.
But the dream she had when she saw her whole family, that was,
In the
I
helicopter.
was reading on the airplane and I'm just like crying because I'm just like, to see your loved ones again,
Yep.
knowing how they died, and to see them.
And she was in the helicopter when that happened, right?
I thought it was a dream.
No, it was a dream.
But she
Oh,
went
oh,
back
okay.
in the helicopter the
But
next day,
the
right?
helicopter was in the dream because
Yeah.
she was trying to reach them, and then she
That's right,
felt
yeah.
herself float, like being above the trees.
Yeah.
But God sent her that dream just
Yep.
to tell her that the family was all.
Right.
They were with him.
Yeah.
They're all okay.
Which happens frequently, and I think I always encourage people to take that as a real gift from God. That when a loved one dies, and I think, well, I wish I would know what happened to them, but then they have these beautiful dreams. I think, Well, they're,
Yeah.
Oh,
they're speaking to you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
And to come to, and then she says in here, the people who hurt my family hurt themselves even more.
Right.
My goodness.
That description of the
oh.
guy who, when she goes to
Felician.
the
When
prison,
she
Yes.
goes to visit
Yes.
Felician in the
yeah,
prison.
and what he looks like, and
Yeah.
just how physically he is destroyed by evil.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
So Nancy.
Yeah, and he was an upstanding, well-respected.
you know, and somehow became a horrible killer.
Yeah.
I love when the guard was saying to her, "Well, I brought him before you, and
Spit
don't you
on
have
him or
anything? You aren't you going to say anything to him?" And she goes, I forgive him." And she goes,
Yep.
"Forgiveness is all I have to offer."
Yeah.
You know, and he's just like could not understand.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
could not conceptualize that. As he took
She
it
can't
away.
make him suffer anymore. She doesn't have the heart to make him suffer anymore.
And then she says, I have here too, in chapter 22, she prayed for a family, to have a family again. Here comes Sarah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to my house with my family. It's
Every
just,
time.
I mean, there's just like miracle after miracle that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember the vow? She made a vow. She says, "One day I will do everything I can to help the children orphaned by genocide, bring hope, happiness, to steer them away from hatred." You know, and when you get to the what you were talking about, we'll get to that. But that's amazing how a lot of her dreams came true. A different route, but they came true. I mean, and then the power of prayer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or when she's drawing her husband.
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy.
Yes.
That's very heavy, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
He wasn't bald. Did you notice that?
That's funny. Kind of in the epilogue, there was one part, and I'm not going to be able to quote it, but she was carrying on to the pain and the inability to forgive for like 10 years or 12 years or something like that. And after hearing Immaculate's story, she was like, "Oh, you gave me the courage to forgive." And I thought, gosh, how beautiful that she'd been carrying that around for so long, and hearing one person kind of changed everything for her.
Yeah.
The one line I did laugh in when she was describing to God her husband. I told God he better send me a Catholic.
Yeah.
And he was.
And he was. Yeah.
Are you Catholic?
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And the love of her children, I mean, is amazing how she talked about them and how they cared for her. Even though they didn't know really her whole story, but, they really were kind of taking care of her.
And then in the epilogue, too, all the people that have come up to her and said, I've carried this hatred for 15 years, and I hear you speak. And
Yep.
Yeah. I have here too, she says, the love of a single heart can make a
world of difference. Yeah, I have that
I
highlighted,
love
too.
that.
That's
I
a
love
great
it.
one.
Yep.
Oh, there was another great line when Fari, the husband of Alois, when he finally sees her and she sees him, and he says to her, he says, "A home is a prison without love."
That's a great line.
Because
I had
he's
that.
coming up and he's to know that she was alive, he was alive.
Yeah.
That was a great moment and for Alois. She was just so happy that her husband was still hanging in there, and still alive.
Unbelievable story. Really, really,
Yep.
words
It is.
can't describe
Wow.
it. I
Yeah.
really look forward to hearing her speak.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too. I can't wait to meet her.
In the midst of such evil, such beauty could exist.
I don't think you could. It seems like an almost unbelievable movie. You would go like, that couldn't. There's no way that could happen. Just on and on and on and on. You know,
Yeah.
staying in the bathroom as long as they did, and
Did you ever watch for Hotel Rwanda?
I couldn't bring
never went to
myself.
watch it just because
I couldn't
knew
bring
how
myself
horrible it was.
to
I
watch
couldn't
it
do
me either.
Well, some of the horrible scenes were, and I'm reading this brought back those memories, was the bodies just in the roads. So as they walked down, there were
Just everywhere.
thousands of bodies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
she
remember
talked
UN
about
troops just leaving, you know, and they were like, "What? Who's going to protect?" And they were just
Yeah.
pulling all the UN troops out, you know,
Yeah.
during that in that movie.
and that one scene she talks about just being black with flies,
Yes.
and they're
Yeah.
trying to scare. I mean, my gosh, that would be so traumatizing.
And to know that it's your loved ones, your neighbors,
Yeah.
your friends,
Yeah,
are
people you knew.
in those piles of
Yeah.
bodies.
But she strongly believes that that the power of love and forgiveness is going to transform Rwanda. Remember, she said that in that. And when she was talking about, they rebuilt the home as a prayer and meditation center, and but then she follows up with love and forgiveness is going to heal Rwanda or transform it.
Yeah.
And in her acknowledgments, did you see in her acknowledgments who she thanks? She thanks God first, and then she thanks Mary. You know, she says, "I gotta thank you too," and then the rest of the people that help with the book. But those two,
Yep.
that is, you know, that's amazing.
That's good priorities.
Yes,
Right.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's a remarkable lady. She really is.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to hear
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
story in person.
Yeah.
CB, any questions?
There's just one comment about this person was touched mostly by the leaving them in the road while she went to get help. She told them to pray. She kept praying. When they were rescued, the group told her that she must have said some awesome prayers because the Hutus looked at them but never attacked them. How many times did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
God blinded them.
Right.
Yeah.
he did.
Well, sometimes she just knew what to say too. I mean, the right line, because she said, you know, loud enough for them to hear that we're going to get the RPF people. We're going to those RPF, you know, for her to be able to say that loud enough for them to know. Oh, wait a minute, those guys are coming. You know, this could be bad for us.
Well, and her courage, because that
Yes.
she's with that leader,
Yes.
eyeball to eyeball.
Eyeball to
just,
eyeball.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
just-
She did it. Power of prayer.
yeah.
True testament, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
No more comments?
All right, so one last announcement then, before we run away here tonight, is we have another fireside chat beginning February 7th. We're switching to Tuesdays, and we're doing the Chosen series. So there's 8 episodes coming up. So we're starting a little before Lent to get you ready for Lent. If you haven't watched any of the Chosen, then you probably should do so before we start season 3, so you know the characters. So if you have Netflix, season 1's there. Amazon Prime Video has both season 1 and 2. You just download the app to your phone otherwise, and you can get all 3 seasons there. But you might want to, even if you have watched with us, you might want to go back and rewatch some of the episodes just to
Freshen up.
freshen up on the characters and those kind of things. So,
And thanks to Scott and Pete for doing our audio and video.
for bringing this live.
Thanks to our lovely guests. Thanks to our lady that was running Zoom. I think I'm going to ask her out on a date.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, quick. Painless. She didn't chop me up. She just shut me off. But this has been fun. Thank you, Father,
Yeah.
for
Yes, thank
doing
you.
this.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Nice
parish
job, Lucy.
providing this book to
Yes.
us.
Sure.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have read it.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's great.
That's a
Good
powerful
job, kids.
story.
It is.
Go Creighton.
Right.
Go great.
That's where we're headed next. See you at the game.